Hey, welcome to Guitar Knobs, the guitars, gear, noise, and nonsense podcast, hosted today by these knobs.
Tony Dudzik, Pick Guardian.
Hey, everybody, it's me, Todd Novak. Welcome to the Guitar Knobs podcast. We're thrilled to death that you're listening to our show. We're minus you got to me real fast because we have some personnel stuff going on. Just really quickly, we are. We've got a guest online. Let's just bring this guest in, and then we'll talk about all this business. Guest, who are you?
Hey, I'm Mark from Summer School Electronics.
That's right. One half of Summer School Electronics, as I was led to believe. Is that correct?
Well, it's me and my wife. So yeah. I do the building, but yes, she is very integral to the operation on these parts.
80% of the company.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah. Now, when you go home, just tell her you said that you were only 40% of the company.
Oh, yeah. I was like,
she'll never know. She'll never know.
The whole thing.
Yes. So, yeah, we are glad to have Summer School on our show tonight. We met them at NAMM. They were delightful, and they gave us a really cool pedal to play with. And we're going to talk about their rise to stardom and how they got started. I think it's going to be a fantastic story. I was, in the first 20 minutes of talking to them, I said, you know what? Just let's skip all this. Let's do a show. Actually, it was only about 20 seconds, and I said that, but that's okay. So really quickly, I just want to talk about personnel here. So Billy, we've had Billy on the show for a while now, and he is an absolute gem, a total sweetheart of a human, and a hell of a guy.
Yes.
Who has actually been in pretty bad shape for the last, I think, almost 4 years. It was 4 years. He had pretty heavy duty back surgery. The pandemic hit, blah, 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 blah. And he's like, man, I haven't been able to do anything in 4 years. This is the summer of me. So he's going to dip in as much as possible, but we're giving him a summer pass. I'm sure he'll be swinging back in occasionally, and then we'll see him back mostly, I suppose, in fall and in December if he can remember how to get here.
I think he'll remember.
Yes. And then Jared is heavy at work trying to build his deck as he has all this rented equipment that he reminded me how much it cost every 10 minutes when I visited him. So we're giving him a pass. So hopefully everybody's okay with it just being me and Tony.
I'm not okay with that.
I'm okay with it.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
It's fine.
Mark, you and I will.
Okay.
All
so
right.
I guess I'm outvoted.
Thanks, Tony.
It's all right.
Well, we've had an awful lot going on as of late. All kinds of announcements and stuff, and we're kind of past that. We're sliding into the easy breezy summer days, and as we're doing that, I received a really fantastic message from one of our dear friends, Bruce Bacon. One of the biggest contributors to our show in many ways, questions, comments, and would you rathers and stuff. He says, hey, Todd and team, including Tony, Jared, Billy, and John Esterly when he shows up. Congratulations on 7 years of Guitar Knobs! ! Sustaining anything for 7 years is a huge milestone, and you have a lot to be proud of. You've put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into this podcast and makes us so very happy, pun intended. Your hard work is recognized and appreciated. You and the crew definitely have your style dialed in and keep hitting the heights each year. Thank you for entertaining and informing us each week. I wish you and the gang continued success and happiness. Future awesome Rolling Stones member, not. Because that was one of his things that I think he threw in. He didn't have to do that.
No,
he could have just thought it in his head when he was driving. But he took the time to do that. And honestly, that just means so much to us, and we really do appreciate that, Bruce. And actually, Bruce is going to be joining us for a show because, daggone it, he deserves it. He contributes so much, and so he'll be on in the upcoming weeks here. So we'll be really thrilled to talk to him because he's got a lot going on up in his noggin about guitar stuff. Oh yeah. aside from that, Tony,
Yes,
is there
Todd?
anything like outstanding that you? We got a lot of great guests in the hopper right now.
Okay.
And
the Dennis Hopper?
The Dennis Hopper, yes. By the way, speaking of Dennis Hopper, I finally saw, and I never saw this one before, The Sons of Katie Elder. It's a great old Western, Dean Martin and Dennis Hopper and John Wayne and all these guys. It was great.
I'll have to check that one out.
Yeah.
I've never heard of that.
Yeah, it's kind of dark, and you're like, oh, these bad guys. They're bad.
Are they bad?
They're
to
bad.
The bone?
Yeah. They're not sheepish either. Hey-o.
So speaking of this Hopper, what is going on?
Well, we just I've got this huge list that I came back from NAMM with.
Yeah.
And have since also discovered all kinds of new people out there, and I'm really excited about it. And in fact, we were talking about the Rickenbacker book.
Yes.
And talking with the gentleman who put that together, and then hopefully that's
Martin
good.
Kelly.
Martin Kelly. Hopefully that's going to produce something in the near future. I'm leaving that kind of in your heads to a certain degree. Don't look surprised.
Oh.
You're looking surprised. Why you look surprised? You set it up.
Oh, did I?
Yes.
I think I pitched, and I was hoping
That's a setup.
I think you would.
Was that a setup, Mark?
Hit it with a bat.
I think I pitched it and then made the first contact. That's a setup.
I'll say it's a setup. I'll give it to you.
All right.
All right. Well, glad we figured that out.
So I'm not surprised.
I'm just playing
Right.
judge on this one. Just
Thank
to give
you,
it
thank you.
credibility. I'll just be like, I'll take that one.
We also have some really exciting stuff planned for some 101 action coming up pretty soon, which I'm keen to learn on. I'm going to sit back and just do a lot of learning on these ones coming up. So that'll be coming, and just lots of great stuff. So hopefully you don't hate us anymore, and you'll keep listening. How about that? Do it. It'll feel good. All right, let's get on with this. What's going on in our music weeks this week? The lovely, the bespectacled, the bedraggled Tanya Bolonsky is going to
bedraggled.
Bedraggled. Yeah. You're a little bedraggled right now.
Are you saying I'm dressed in a drag?
No, bedraggled. Bedraggled is a term for just sort of, like had a hard day. You're bedraggled. Yeah, look it up. It's great.
All right.
I'm dragging ass.
Yes. So Tony,
Yes.
Tanya is going to kick us off. Yeah, he's going to start the show.
I'm gonna show you how it's done.
Yes, you're going to do it. Then we're going to check in with Mark, and I'll wrap it up.
Well, that sounds good. Well, this week, Todd, I wanted to talk a little bit about a guitar that came into my possession. It is a Chibson, as we like to refer to.
Yes.
And this one,
You wouldn't know it.
you would not know it.
I mean, you honestly,
Well,
I mean,
I would, but
you
yes.
would. I mean, yeah, of course.
So, I don't know, maybe a month or two ago, I think it was Zounds or somebody had Gibson Custom Shop make a handful of what they refer to as Les Paul Seniors. Mm-hmm. So basically, it's a standard, like a Les Paul standard, but with a wraparound bridge, a P90, single P90.
Dog ear.
And button tuners and dots and that sort of thing. So basically,
dots no, it's trapped.
this one has traps. But,
Yeah.
but the one that Zounds had done, but they were selling them for like $6,000, and that's a lot of dough.
That's silly.
Yeah,
That's silly money.
silly money. So I happen to be
I
trolling.
mean, it's totally worth it, but it's silly.
Yeah, I would do it in a heartbeat.
Of course, but it's
But anyhow, I happen to be trolling the H-Gate waters.
Before you dip into that,
Yes.
the alternative to that
AliExpress?
is the Epiphone Jared
Oh yeah,
Goldie. I think it's Goldie,
I
whatever,
don't know.
Goldie something.
yeah.
It's basically the same thing,
Yeah.
except it's not.
Well, it's wrong in many ways too. I mean, many ways.
Sure,
but
sure,
anyhow,
yeah.
so what they had available on DH-Gate was a single pickup wraparound bridge. They had a soap bar P90 in it, and a pickguard that looked more like you would find on like a ES295.
Explain that to the listeners, Tony.
That's the floral. It has the floral design in gold on a cream pickguard.
Wasn't that Les Paul's wife's guitar? That model?
She had, yes, she did have one.
Yeah.
That was like that. But hers was smaller. It wasn't the full size.
Yeah, it was like it was cream guard with a gold inlay.
Design.
Yeah.
And I also worked with Gibson years ago on their Guitar of the Month, which we called the LP 295. So it was basically a gold top Les Paul.
Yes, I remember those. Yes,
with the same kind of design, only on a Les Paul style guard.
Right.
Anyhow, long story even longer. They had this thing. It's a gold top knockoff. I said, well, you know what? I think, I'm a big fan of single pickup guitars with wraparound bridges.
Yeah, who's not? I know a lot of people are.
I'll eat those for breakfast every day of the week, if I can.
Well, how long have you been collecting, Tony?
I'm very hungry. I have a voracious appetite. So I ordered this up months and months ago. I mean, this one took the longest probably out of anything that
Yes,
I've done.
you've talked about it many times.
Not this one.
Oh, that was a different one you've talked about many times.
Yes.
Okay.
Anyhow.
It should be called a DH Gate update.
Yes, DH Gate update. Yes.
Yeah.
So anyhow, what I do with a lot of these things is I will take them, set them up, improve them, put better electronics, and change out tuners. I mean, that's basically what you have to do on all these guitars.
Yeah. May I say, just really quick, for all the people who are picking up rocks right now, all right, that the nice thing about, and I totally understand, both sides of the coin of like, we're buying stuff out in DH Gate, we should be buying from regular guitar builders and all this stuff and crap.
I've done enough of that in my days.
He's got like a ridiculous amount, but also you can't possibly on a price match get anywhere near what these things are. Now, granted, they're kind of, they got a lot of goofy things about it, but that's what Tony enjoys doing, is putting a little extra in and fixing it up.
I mean,
so
it's a hobby.
It doesn't hurt you.
And these stay in my possession. I don't resell them as, fakes.
Although I seen that at the guitar show and I was like, shame on you guys.
Yeah, there's people that will do that.
Yeah.
So anyhow, I ended up on this one putting a Lindy Fralin hum canceling dog ear P90 in. One of my favorite pickups for a single pickup guitar.
Okay, question from the audience. Hey, what? Doesn't that negate the natural nature, the audio nature of the P90?
It does not, because if you go back to the Lindy Fralin podcast that we did many moons ago, he explained why, and this has been my experience as well. It's a different take on sideways coiled pickups like Gibson would have used on their basses. Some people call them sidewinders. Some people call them mudbuckers, whatever. But it's a little different structure. But because of the way that it's put together, it still sounds like a P90. So you don't get the hum, which is tough on a single pickup guitar.
Yes.
And it still sounds like a P90. And that, to me, is most important. Because I've worked with, stacked P90s.
Of course you have.
And they don't sound
Of course they don't.
Like that.
No, that's actually like a P100, isn't it? At that point?
P100 is that's a stacked P90.
Yeah.
But anyhow, I put it all back together, leveled the frets, something you also have to do. Changed all the hardware out to nickel. That's just me. I'm weird that way instead of chrome. And the one bad thing that happened when it arrived, it must have taken a hit somewhere along the way. So in the back corner of the headstock, there's a chunk of wood missing. And I was able to contact through DH Gate and said, hey, we got a problem here.
Is it a big chunk? Show me the chunk.
You can't see it from the front.
No, I mean the guitar. Oh yeah.
It's the corner. I mean, it's like something you do at a bar.
Yeah. That's just some attitude, man.
Yeah. But anyhow, so I contacted customer service at DH Gate. We were able to negotiate an additional $50 off. So I'm into like this guitar for next to nothing.
Yeah.
So all things considered,
That's really cool.
I like it a lot. And
You're gonna let me play it?
Yeah, you can play it if you want.
Okay, sweet.
Yeah, it's all ready. It's ready to go.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, take it with you if you want.
I'd love to. I'll bring it back.
Okay. Maybe.
Mark, you want me to send it to you?
Yeah.
I'll take a look at it.
But anyhow, so all things considered, I was pretty happy with it. And, like I said, getting something for next to nothing is
And what are you going to do next time you decide to get something next to nothing?
I'm going to call Todd first.
Right.
And then we'll make.
I want to have
make
fun.
Arrangements. You guys, no, you're not allowed to have.
Hey,
fun.
I like fun.
Yeah, that's not what I hear.
All right.
Anyhow, so that was my
Thank you.
my week.
Are you done
world
yet?
this music.
Okay.
This time of the year.
Mark, save me from this business here. What is going on in your music world this week? If you can make it not about building pedals, that would be amazing. Try.
I can try. I'm prepping for the summer with a bunch of pedal building, so that's been taking most of the time. But when not doing that, I play in a couple bands, and I play guitar in a band that's like a post-hardcore punk rock type thing called Bridge Under Fire is the name of it.
All right.
And we have a gig this Friday.
Like New York hardcore?
Kinda. More. We always get it's for fans of like Hot Water Music, Polar Bear Club, like that kind of.
Oh yeah, okay, that's cool.
Or Rocky with shouty vocals,
Okay.
I found out today our bass player fell and sprained his elbow and wrist, so I think we're playing as a trio.
Oh.
And I got to play all my rhythm parts on bass instead of on guitar. So I'll be doing that this weekend.
That'll be interesting.
We've had to do it once before, and we're like, if
is he just super clumsy or what?
He's a wonderful man. But we're all old, so things happen.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Well, how old are you? Do you mind me asking?
I'm 37.
Oh, brother.
Listen, man, it's not the year; it's the mileage. All right.
Okay. I'll take that any day of the week.
I've seen some things that can't be unseen, so there's definitely some mileage. But so that's why I'm just trying to get ready for that gig this weekend.
What's your band called?
Bridge Under Fire.
Oh, I thought it was gonna be called Tripod or something like that. Hey,
no, I'm not there. But yeah, so that's the biggest thing in my guitar world right now. That, and then just pedal. But I'm sure we'll get into all that stuff.
Yeah, for sure. Let's see here. We have Tony.
Oh, Todd.
Tony, yes.
Did anything happen to your music world this week?
As a matter of fact, a few things happened this week. I was driving home from Tennessee. I did drive home from Tennessee, but first I drove home from Georgia because I spent a week and some change with my folks. We were having some difficult times health wise and stuff with my family right now, and which is why we didn't have an episode before this one. Well, there was one. It just we had to skip a week, so unfortunately. But anyways, on the way home, I stopped off to hang out with my dear friend Jared, and he always lets me hang out at his house, and we have fun times. And I watched him try to make holes in the ground for his deck, and then we had some food and junk. And then we messed around in his guitar room, and he showed me the secret door and all that stuff, which is no longer a secret at all. And he got a couple of new things, and we just had a good time hanging out. And then he said, "Hey, have you seen the Gordon Lightfoot, the Gordon Lightfoot documentary?" And we've kind of given him the business about that on the show a little bit, and I said no, but I would love nothing more to watch that with you right now.
Oh my!
And
God.
It was great. It was so good. I do encourage you.
Back in a silky dress.
Oh man, they only spent like 30 seconds on the song. That's his most famous song.
Yeah. And how much time do they give the Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald?
A bit more.
Well, because it's an 80-minute long song.
Yeah. Anyways, yeah, it was cool. It was interesting, and there was gear. There was a little bit of gear stuff, and just you saw his impact on a community, and it was cool. We had a good time.
Yeah.
Good times. And then I swung on the way back. I swung over to Chase's shop. and Chase Gullet Guitars, dear friend of mine, and we hung out for way longer than we ever intend to. That usually happens because we get talking. But he's building a really awesome new guitar. It's basically it's like black on black body, and he's using some gold hardware in it, and it just looks so tough. It's really cool. It's like a tough guy with shiny shoes. You know what I mean? It looks really cool.
I like that.
Yeah, and it's loosely based off the stylings of my guitar Vinny. So
Vinny.
yes, without the pointy stuff. Anyways, so hey, if you see that, go check out Gullet Guitar, and I'm telling you, that is a really handsome guitar, and it is going to play fantastic. The neck on that thing is bueno. So hit him up and go buy that thing. Now, onward and upward, we need to just bring to everyone's attention
Yes.
about things that you can use to make your pedal life better. Now,
Your pedal
Eric,
life.
Yes, your pedal life. Eric Marrow, who was on the show recently, a good
Yeah.
friend of our show.
Yeah.
He set up a post and he says, "Oh my gosh, I just got these things in the mail, and just like the Guitar Knob said, these things are fantastic. I'm sold." And Dr. No also placed a big old order to put in Alan Johannes's pedal board that he's building for his tour. So we had 3 of our recent guests benefit from the great things that Tour Gear Designs does. They make some fantastic patch cables. I encourage you to go over to tourgeardesigns.com, put a bunch in your cart. They are way cheap and they are way impressive when you get them on a board. You're just like, why haven't I not been using these things? And from now on, you will. Use the Guitar Knobs as a discount code in your basket. You're going to save 10%, and they ship out mighty quick. So make sure you do that. We want to say thanks to Tour Gear for sponsoring our 4 on the Floor.
Thank you, Tour Gear.
Tony?
Let me get a little bit of this.
Yeah, that extra sawdust and stuff is helping out.
yeah.
All right.
1, 2, 3. 4 on the floor.
All right. Mark Turley of Summer School. What's your 4 on the floor?
Ooh, all right. This took some thought to get into this because I know the rule was that you can't use your own pedals when doing the 4 on the
The
floor.
rules are in rock and roll, there are no rules except if you're on the show talking about 4 on the floor.
Well, yes. However, I mean, so I was going through, I was like, well, it's been a while since I haven't used like my own stuff because I built it for me, you know? So I'm like,
Time
all right,
travel.
I know. I had to go back and think, like, what did I use before that I really, really liked? So first, for a drive, my favorite heavy gain drive pedal is the JHS Angry Charlie.
Oh,
which,
okay. Yeah.
if you're not familiar, is basically a JCM 800, like super gained out in a box. It's originally based on the Marshall Governor is the original take on it, which is, you know, it's just a very high gain drive pedal. But when I was making my choice, I would take the altered version, which was the JHS Boss collaboration of the Angry Driver, which was the JCM 800, or was the Angry Charlie and the Boss Blues Driver 2-in-1.
Oh, yeah.
Where you can switch them in series or parallel or change on. I was like, then you get your light drive and your heavy drive, which affords me an extra pedal to choose for this whole list, which I thought was a good way to get around that. But yeah, that I think is one of my favorite drive pedals. If I'm ever like making any sort of recording and I'm like, I don't want to switch to another amp, we'll just use this. And suddenly any amp you put it through, it just sounds like an 800. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I'm like,
yeah.
That's perfect.
Oh, God, it wasn't Gary Morrison. Who was it? I'm trying to think of who it was. But I could have sworn I heard them talking about how like that was like he was like the
He was
kind of
Andy
the
Timmons, I think.
Yeah. That's it.
Yeah.
I was close.
There you go. Yeah. No, yeah. Because they had said, I was reading something about it, that it was like they had put them out and they were like, yeah, they're selling like okay. And then all of a sudden, like Andy Timmons started using it and it got some press and they were like, we are selling these like crazy, like overnight.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was just like, just needed that one person to be like, no, these are great.
Yeah.
But No, I've always loved that heavy cranked JCM 800 sound for distorted guitars, but like just in the bands I play in, we also need a clean channel for a lot of stuff. So I'm like, you can't really get that 800 tone. You know, if you use like the original like one channel heads, like you don't get a clean if you're diming the drive. So I was like, oh, this is great. You can run it through any clean amp and just get that sound,
Yeah.
And then when I got the one that was mixed with the blues driver, the angry driver, it's like just open up a whole other world. There's so many sounds in that pedal and so many things that you can do that are like super, super cool. So that would be my first one, would be the JHS Boss Angry Driver.
Yeah, I mean, if you're showing up to play with the agnostic front and the Cro-Mags, you can't have the morning glory. You know what I mean?
No, I mean, you could, I guess, but I wouldn't. But you could. I don't judge. Whatever you gotta do, man. I've got some weird pedals. So, I've done some weird gigs. But yeah, that would definitely be my first one. Another pedal that I've been just like totally in love with lately is the Earthquaker Devices Hizumitas. I think I'm saying that right.
Oh yeah.
We were set up next to Earthquaker at NAMM, and I was like, I just got that pedal, and I love it. And I kept being like, am I pronouncing this right? And I think I tried like 3 times, and I don't know if I actually got the correct pronunciation or not because it was so loud. But that is Wada from Boris's signature. That's a take on like old Big Muff clone. And in the world of fuzz, like Big Muff is my favorite style fuzz.
The Elk BM Sustainer.
That was the one. Yep, that's what she had, and so that's what they kind of recreated for this pedal.
Yeah, I don't have like I'm not just full of information. I looked it up right now. It's just,
I appreciate it. When you were talking about the Les Paul Senior, I'm like Googling it on my phone. And I'm like, oh, that's what they're talking about. Okay, cool.
You are a font of information. Todd.
I am.
I'm
a water fountain of information.
You're just passing this all off.
A drinking fountain.
My head. I got it. But no, that pedal is great. And like as a Big Muff on my board, I was always using the JHS Muffaletta, because I really liked all the different settings. And I was recently, around like Christmas time, I got this new Earthquaker one, and I like, as soon as I plugged it, I'm like, oh, that is mean and so loud. And I'm like, we're gonna be using this one for a while. So I'm in love with that. It's so, you can do a lot with it, but it's also just like, if you just want that crazy fuzzed out like stoner rock sound, like, yep, this is it. That's the pedal for that.
That's cool.
That's my fun one that I've been into lately. And then 2 more that if I was just needed something for a gig, MXR Carbon Copy is, I think, like the perfect analog delay pedal. It's
hard to beat that.
I've had it for like, I don't know, over 10 years, and it's like
hard to beat.
I keep going back to it. Like if I'm recording and I don't have a board, I just have like a shelf of pedals. I'm like, we need a delay. Get the Carbon Copy. Like that's just the go-to because it's so great.
Okay, now question.
Answer. Incorrect.
No, I don't have a question, actually. I retract that question. Strike that from the record, everybody. Okay, go ahead.
Correct. Carbon Copy is just a great, simple, easy to use delay pedal, because I know there are delays that do so much more than that, but I love how simple that is to use on the fly. Like, even just the modulation button to get weird with it is just push the button, you have it or you don't, and that's it. And like, you can fix it at a gig, so super easy. Which ties into my 4th pedal, which I gotta go MXR Phase 90, which I've bought and sold and rebought and sold and rebought that pedal so many times, because it's the perfect simple phaser. Like, usually when I'm playing, like I'm singing too, or don't always have time to like get super crazy with what you're playing, but I'm like, throw a phaser on, and it just sort of adds a little motion underneath a solo or whatever like lead part you're doing. And having the Phase 90 with just the one knob, you can just kick it with your foot to change the speed. I'm like, it's great. It's so versatile, and you can like, drop it off a roof and it still works.
Yeah. Now, did you have a reissue of that, or is it an old vintage one? Or
No, I think I've always just had the reissue ones. I didn't realize till like probably way later than I should have that MXR was based out of Rochester, which is like one city over from us here. And I was like, that's super cool. I never knew that they started there. And I've looked up and like searched for like, oh, let's get an old Bud Box script logo, like try to find a vintage one. But I've always just had like, hey, I found like a reissue that I bought used and threw it on the board and used it for a decade and it never messed up. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So I'm like, and I feel like every board I have when I'm like, I need some sort of modulation. I'm like, just grab a Phase 90. It's so simple. It's so easy.
Yep.
yeah.
And it'll just do it.
I totally get it.
I guess
totally get it.
I'm a little basic sometimes when it comes to that.
But that's okay. I mean, if I definitely know that I overcomplicate things.
I feel like I've done
Should I
that.
put that first or last?
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
I play in a cover band where it does like 3 and 4 hour gigs and all that, and I feel like I'm the one who's always changing out the gear on the board, and mine's the board that before every show I'm like on the floor like, why is the light flashing? Why isn't it working? And like the guy who has like the scuzzy tube screamer that hasn't been moved is like, why is your shit not working, man?
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like I'm the one who's always trying to like change stuff out to be like, this will make so much more sense and we can do so much more, and then it just doesn't work.
And you probably that's a small board too, right? So you don't have to lug a big old thing around.
Yeah, I think that's if you have a drive, a fuzz, a delay, and some modulation like a phaser, I feel like that's enough to get through whatever gig you're trying to get through.
What are you using for your power source?
What do I have? I think on one board I have the Voodoo Labs brick. I forget
Okay.
which model specifically. And then I think on the other band, I think we have the True Tone one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
See,
Yeah.
the CS7.
I think so. I think that's what it is. Yeah. There's.
Yeah.
I put it underneath.
Well, the
and
skinny
I-
one. The skinny one is a 6. I know
I
that.
think this one has 6 outputs. I think there's
Yeah.
6 outputs.
So it's
and then there's
slim,
the
so it'll
power.
fit like under a pedal train
Yeah.
nano or something. Yeah.
Yeah, I put it except the pedal train board, so I just put it underneath, and then I never look at it again.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
It's great. It
I'm
works.
pretty sure that's what I put under there, but
That's what's on my pedal train.
yeah.
Well, that's really cool, man. I dig it. Now, let's get a little bit more geary while we're talking about this. Now, tell us about your amplification system.
I have a bunch of amps in my arsenal, but my go-to is the Vox AC15 that I use for most things.
That Tony's a Vox guy.
You're a Vox guy.
Yes,
yeah.
I am.
I
Which model do you have of the AC15?
So I have 2 of them. One, they're both the like, how are they? Are they China or Vietnam? Overseas made.
The new one, the CC series.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I have one of those that I got in like early 2000s that I brought to a buddy of mine. Was getting into like pedal mods and like amp mods and stuff. And this is like way before I was ever even dreaming of doing that. I was like, that's just voodoo and witchcraft. And he took I had the AC15 and I was like, I don't love it. Like I want to love it, but I don't love it.
That's where I was.
And so he took it and he's like, did some voodoo on it and some stuff. And he brought it back and I'm like, what'd you do? And he's like, all he would tell me is like, I put it to 60 specs. And I was like, I don't know what that means. And he's like, well, you have parts in there that cost a nickel. I replaced them with parts that cost a quarter. And I was like, again, I don't know what you're talking about. But so like I played it and suddenly like the EQ was just like wide open. Like you could just attain so much more and like it just responded so much better. And I love that amp. And like I've played it at gigs where there's like studio dudes there and they were like, what is that? And I was like, it's an AC15. And they're like, no, it's not. Like, what? And I'm like, well, it's mine. That's what I got. And I'm like terrified. I know I could open it up and like go in and see what he did, but I'm like, don't breathe on it.
Yeah.
Don't change anything. Don't mess with it.
Yeah, that's the one downside of the CC series is they are circuit board.
Yeah, they're fragile.
Now I have an AC15 HW that's the hand-wired one made in Vietnam. And it's true. It's turret board construction. So it's really, if anything ever goes wrong with it, which it's not likely that it will, but if it does, it's super easy to fix.
Yeah. So I mean, I got that one, and I was using that for all of our gigs, and I was bringing it in and out of the house every week, up and downstairs. And I'm like, eventually, we're here in the Northeast. Our winters can get a little brutal.
Mm-hmm.
And I got our house that we had moved into has some stairs on the side that you would load out of. And I'm like, I would rather just buy another AC-15 and leave it in my car than pay for back surgery. So I bought one of the newer ones that's just in like green Tolex.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's cool.
And I've been using that for gigs, and the same deal of like, if we go play somewhere and the thing dies or whatever, it's like I can find an AC-15 in most cities that we're playing in that can get me through the night. You know what I mean? Like, rent it, buy it, return it, whatever you got to do. Like, it'll get me through. So like I said, I have other amps in my house that I'll use for recording. I have like a Music Man HD 130 that I love for the clean sound. I scored an amazing deal on a high watt custom 100 head. And I have an Orange 8030, the twin channel. It sounds great. Like, there's a bunch of different amps here, but that AC-15 is like my favorite. The modded one is like my favorite sound. But for going on for gigs, I take the other one just because it's less of an investment. It's easier to replace.
Yeah.
And it's in a road case. And when I was deciding between the 15 or the 30, I picked up a 30. And I was like, that's not even in a road case yet. I'm like, no. You're going 15.
There's a reason there's 3 handles on AC-30s.
Dude, they're so rough.
But no, I'm the same way. I mean, I had an AC-30 that I actually traded in to get this AC-15, and I've never looked back. I mean, that has become my, if I'm testing pedals out, if because I know what it sounds like.
Yeah.
The only upgrade I've ever done to it is I put a Celestian Blue in it. And that really opened it up from there was a greenback in it originally.
Yeah, so mine has in it. Yeah,
and man, it's just it's nice to have an amp that
when you say open it up, tell me about that, Tony.
Well, it just changes the frequencies a lot. I mean, the difference between
more range.
Well,
or the brights are brighter.
It breaks up sooner because it's an Alnico magnet versus a ceramic magnet.
Yeah.
And it's also
it's got no soul.
Well, no,
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, that's it. No, it also seems to have more compression to my ear. I don't know what. I guess the sound is just consistently good, and that's.
They're just such a fun amp because you can do you can get a great clean with it.
Yeah.
If you do just crank the pre-gain, it sounds so angry.
Yeah.
And it's in the best way.
Yeah.
Like, I've done albums where we're like, none of these pedals are what I want. I just like crank that. Like, just do a track of this as the dirty, and you're like, oh, that's perfect. It's so good.
I have to admit, you guys are making me like rethink my disassociation with the Vox.
Well,
but I will say, spoiler alert, we're gonna do a Vox 101.
Ooh, a Vox 101. I can't wait. That sounds good.
Yeah.
I like that.
And with Rob. So Rob's going to talk about all the different moddy things and all the weird stuff. And it's going to be great.
Yeah, it's a very, I think, reliable, just great sounding amp. Because like when you play 3-4 hours of covers, you got to cover a very wide range of tones. And I know everybody puts like, oh, your Fender style is like the better pedal platform, but I don't know. A lot of it's just the pedals I use are just what it is. But I just love
totally different
the way
sound.
the Vox takes it. Yeah. I think it just sounds great.
Are you in a 1 guitar band, 2 guitar band?
It's a 2 guitar band.
Okay.
So the other nice thing about Vox is, in particular, especially if you're on the road, is if you bring a skillet with you and set it on top of the top vent, you can actually fry eggs in it.
That's pretty good. Yeah.
Hey, just while we're talking about Vox stuff really quick, guys, and we'll get much more into this in the aforementioned episode, but characteristically, Fender's going to sound Fender sound, Vox sound, Marshall sound.
Right.
Okay. And we got lots of people who maybe they're like, dude, why are you even discussing this? We know this. But a lot of people still don't. because a lot of people have only had one amp, or maybe are using things that aren't even like full blown amps yet. So give us the elevator. We're going to floor 3. Floor 1, Fender, go.
Fender, clean, bright. Vox, probably a little dirty, but not as dirty as Mr. Marshall.
I think the Vox has the chimey. That's I think the other part.
Chimey.
Like,
Thank you.
When I hear Fender for their cleans, I think it's a very well-rounded sound. Like it's more of the hot top end.
It's a hi-fi amp.
Dark.
Yeah, and the Vox definitely has a little bit more sharpness to it, and the crispiness.
Yeah.
You know.
And then Marshall is just meant to be a really nasty sounding.
Yeah,
Who wins in the mids, Tony? In your ears, yeah.
Well, I think Marshalls probably peak out more than Voxes do.
Yeah,
I mean,
I would say that.
And Fenders are, I mean, they're pretty even keeled. That's the one thing about a Fender. And if you need to boost something, I mean, their mid range is pretty stable, and you can boost your highs and lows.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if you're playing in a 2-guitar band, like one of the tricks that I've always tried to do is like when you're playing with 2 guitars, have the discussion of be like, do you want the higher mids or do you want the lower mids?
Yeah.
And like you each need to tailor where it is, and then suddenly your sound guy doesn't have to work as hard.
Right.
Like I played in a band years ago where I had a JCM 900 that was all mids for that. And our other guitar player had a 5150 where he would just like scoop the mids. And I was like,
yeah, perfect.
You can have the high and lows.
It's like a taco.
I'll sit right in the middle. And like, I was watching like, old videos of us playing where it's like, there's no sound guy. It's just a punk rock gig where the only thing through the PA is vocals. So like you're doing your own mix on stage and you're like,
like the tree bar we were talking about. Yeah.
Perfect. Yep. Like those kind of things where I'm like, you can totally hear everything because we're just staying out of each other's way.
Yeah.
And it sounds fine.
Yeah.
And
that also helps with, for those who are getting into playing with the band, that also can greatly make you not end up hating each other because you start to get into volume wars.
Yeah.
And then everybody, because I can't hear my thing, well, turn up. Well, no, I can't hear my thing, so you turn up. And then your frequencies are canceling each other out. Or at least not, as you said, so well put, making room for each other in there.
Yeah.
Well, I actually built a pedal to solve that problem.
No kidding. Let's get into some of this. But first,
There you go.
but first, tell us about the guitars you're playing.
Oh, yes. Because that is another way that if you're in a 2-guitar
Tony?
band, not only having different amps that are, sonically slightly different, but
Yes.
having, say, a Strat and a Les Paul in the same band.
Or something else in a Les Paul.
A Telecaster.
Yeah.
Jeez. Why do you hate Strat so much, Todd? Is it too much of a guitar for you?
Are you not a Strat guy, Todd?
Oh no, I'm not. I made a whole post about that. Oh, go check out the Instagram. You'll love it. I promise. It's from NAMM, because every single I couldn't go to a booth and I was like, hey, let me play your pedal. I'm like, seriously, Strat, really?
Yeah, that's beautiful.
So
It's funny. So like my first guitar ever was a Strat because you're like 15 and you're like Strat pack, everything's right there.
Oh yes.
Yep.
And
everything you ever need.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And then, until you find other stuff. And then I've had so many guitars, but like no Strats. But I do have one Strat that I got at a garage sale that was like a 80s like Squire made in Korea something. And that's the one that sits upstairs that I like test pedals with. So I'm like, I test them with a Strat. Then they come down to the basement and play with all the other toys. But like, yeah, that's the only Strat I have is just for testing pedals.
Yeah,
that's nice.
But
so what other toys do you have in your collection?
So usually for the original band, for Bridge Under Fire, our other guitar player plays like a Les Paul, and so he has like the fatter, thick sound. So I end up using a Jazzmaster usually, and the one that I've been favoring has been like a parts caster that I found a bunch of stuff, and me and our bass player put it together, and it's just a really bright, jangly Jazzmaster, and it just is very crisp and clear. And same thing of like doesn't matter really what amps we're using. When you have a Les Paul and a Jazzmaster, they do not overlap very much.
Not
Right.
at all. Yeah.
So they definitely stay out of each other's way. When I do the cover stuff, I'll usually do something more with humbuckers. I've been using what was the one that Gibson did? The SG Special from a couple of years ago. That was like all natural wood with like the mini humbuckers in it.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It was like the special, but for like that year, for like it was like 2018 or something.
Mm-hmm.
I got one of those, and just a solid body with humbuckers, and I'll change out that for different stuff when you're playing longer sets. But that's usually
That's
my
very
go-to.
Fugazi of you.
Try, I just want to be cool,
Hey, it's been great talking about your guitar
gear
stuff
talk.
or whatever.
We're gear talk.
Thanks for hogging the whole show about your gear.
Is there something else that you offer? I mean, or you just play gear?
Yeah.
That's it. All gear.
Yeah.
All it is.
Well, let me tee this up here, Mark. So we ran into you at NAMM, Billy and I did, and we had a great conversation with you, and instantly I knew you would be great to have on the show, fun to talk to, and I know that you've got a really cool story behind the pedal company that you created. As we have talked to so many who also found the time and opportunity in 2020 to say, let's try this.
Yeah.
But aside from that dumbness of that year, you also, I think you have a great backstory. So without further ado, Mark Turley, builder, creator, founder of Summer School. So tell us about your company and how you got started.
Well, I was born in 1985. Let me start you there. No, I talk a lot, but I won't go that far. My day job is I'm a teacher. I teach math, AIS, and special ed. Everybody asks,
what is AIS?
That's the question. AIS is Academic Intervention Services.
Okay.
Which means...
This is like challenged kids and stuff?
It's kids who don't qualify for special ed, but may need some extra help in math.
Okay.
So if it's like, we don't have to have a year's worth of meetings to get you identified, but if it's like, you just need extra help for like a half hour a day for like 4 months, and we'll kind of get you caught up.
Tony pointed at me, by the way, when you said that. He did. He could, I mean, it was so fast. I couldn't even look at him, and he was already pointing at me. I was a disaster in math. I took algebra 4 times, and I never passed.
Dude, it's what's funny is I failed calculus in college so many times.
No.
Like, when I first started, I thought I was going to be an engineering major.
I
ended up failing out and changing. So now when the kids are like, math sucks, I'm like, yeah, it does. Like,
yeah.
But it's really hard. I'm like, I know it's hard. I'm like, I failed a lot. Like, I get it, bro.
Yeah.
Like, we're in this together.
But what's cool is some people are just like, it's as clear as an unmuddied lake.
Yeah. No. I've had that.
That's my daughter. One of my daughters. The other two hate it, but one of them is just like math whiz.
Yeah.
It's crazy. So easy.
And I've talked to other teachers where I'm like, have you ever failed a subject? They're like, oh God, no. I'm like, then you don't get it. Like, you have to know how to fail to know how to teach someone that's failing. Like,
hey, that's really smart.
That is really,
I like that perspective. I should be a teacher.
There you go. Join. There's a shortage. Come join us.
My wife's actually a teacher.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah,
what does she teach?
She teaches, social studies and a couple other things to middle school. But middle school, like kids attitudinally challenged and stuff. Like the smart, like this. She's got the super smart ones and the super challenged ones in the same class.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
So, and she told me to tell you that what you do is STEM. That's what she said.
Yeah. That's true.
Because of your pedals and science and all that stuff. She thought that'd be really hilarious. So there you go. I said it.
It is.
Ha ha. Here we go.
I get it.
Anyways, enough about us. Let's talk about you.
There we go. So I'm a teacher. That's what I've done. So when 2020 hit and the school year ended, it was summertime, and I'm like, well, I don't have any kids to teach, and there's no gigs. So when you have nothing to do, there's like 30 hours in a day. So I just needed to find some new hobby, because I was like, I can only play guitar and record songs that no one will hear in the basement for so long. So I was trying to find something to fill time, and I was like, well, I could buy a Lego set and build that. But knowing me, I'll have a house full of Legos. My wife will be like,
stepping on them.
Like, how long is this going to happen for? Like, what are you going to do? So I was like, I don't know. I've heard of those build your own clone kits. So I bought one, and I was like, let's try to build a fuzz. And so I started doing it. All sorts of wrong. Like, my soldering was garbage. Parts were like backwards. So I had to like go on the forums to get like support, and so I tried another one. It got that to work, and then a buddy who played in a band that we had played in like Pennsylvania that we had played shows with saw me post something and was like, "You're building pedals?" He's like, "I've built a few," and he sent me all these resources where he's like, "I buy parts from this site, and I buy PCB boards from here."
That gets confusing. The whole parts, the parts shuffle.
So, but he's like, but you can get them so much cheaper because you're sourcing your own parts. It's not like you're buying a pre-made kit where somebody else already put it together. So like, it's a little more labor, but your cost goes down. And I was like, dude, I'm home all summer. I got nothing but time. Let's do it. So I started doing that and building some more clones. And I was just like, this is really fun because there's pedal, and you could start getting like, I wonder what it sounds like to play through a King of Tone. It's like, well, the wait list is 4 years, and to
mortgage your house.
Yeah, to buy one used, it's like over $1,000. I'm like, it's more time effective and cost effective for me to learn this skill from scratch than to go get on a wait list to get this pedal.
Yeah, you could get a master's in electronics before you get one.
Yeah, so I'm like, I'll just figure this out. So we'll do that. So I started going through and building clones, and like I would sell a couple on Reverb and use that money to buy more to make more for me. And I had like friends placing orders for stuff, and it was just like, and they kept being like, "You're going to start a business." I'm like, "No, I'm not going to do that." And during the pandemic, we got our 2 dogs, Gus and Gladys.
Yes.
And we had joked like, "Oh, we'll make Gus his own signature pedal called the Gus Drive." And so the following summer, I was like, "How would you do that?" So at this point, I'd gotten into like, instead of just building off of a PCB, I got into like, how do you breadboard? How do you mod designs? How do you read a schematic? How do you like make your own? And so I started doing that, and I reached out to my buddy Steve Peterson, who does our t-shirts for like our bands, and I was like, here's a picture of my dog. Like, I made this layout of a pedal. Can you do this, but like make it better? And so like he designed this whole layout. I'm like, we're gonna make a pedal called the Gus Drive. And it was basically my take on like a DoD 250 Distortion Plus style. It's got more volume, more gain, can do more like boost and distortion. It's just a little different. And I ordered like a dozen of them, and I was like, I don't know, I'll play one, and like 11 will sit on the shelf, and it'll be like a funny story someday. And we got 13 orders.
Oh, wow.
Like, oh, okay. So I guess I need to like get some more now.
Buy more parts.
Yeah. And so by this point, it was like, we started in like September of 21. So I started doing that and making those. And then Black Friday was coming up. I was like, well, we have another dog named Gladys. And the other pedal I use a lot is a Blues Breaker clone that I started messing with and modding. So Gladys got her own pedal. So it's like a Blues Breaker. So like Gus is our bigger dog. He's the heavier distortion. Gladys is the smaller dog. It's the lighter distortion, you know? Yeah. And started doing that. And then it was just like other ideas of, we were talking earlier about the getting in a volume war with your other guitar player. I was having that issue. So I built a boost that had a resistor that we turned into a pot where you can make it twangier. So instead of being like a volume boost for a guitar solo, it'll just boost the top end, the brightness. Oh. So suddenly you don't get louder than the other guitar player, you get brighter for your solo. So you'll cut through, and then when your solo's done, you go right back into the mix where you were. You're still at the same volume.
Gotcha.
So that's the Bootster Booster. That was where we went from that one. And so like ideas just kept rolling, and we took the name Summer School based on like when I was trying to come up with a name for this like fake business as it was starting. And like, I'll make 12 pedals with my dog and no one will care. I was like, I'm a teacher. Everybody's always talking like, who's going to teach summer school? And I'm like, I'm just going to build pedals all summer. Like, this is my own summer school. I'm just going to do that. So that's where we got the name from.
Yeah.
Just being like, I'll do that.
Apropos.
Yes. Well, now
when so when you started doing the pedals, you're like, hey, this is gravy. I can do this.
Yeah.
And then you start going like, oh wait, I got to build a business thing behind this. That sucks.
When I was talking to other builders at NAMM, and the guys from I think it was KMA, I think that's who we were talking to. They were like, I was like, the hardest part is just like learning how to scale. And he just gave me a hug. It was like, yes. He was like, starting a business. Or he's like, building pedals, you can do that. Designing, anybody can learn that. He's like, learning all the stuff that's like you're not passionate about, of like, how do I not run out of money?
Yeah.
Like that
LLC, what?
Yeah, all that like crazy stuff now. Like I have a lawyer now from doing this business, and I was like, and he's a guitar player too. I'm like, what do you play? He's like, blues. I'm like, of course you do. I got my blues lawyer.
Do you have a jazz dentist too?
Yeah. Oh yeah. And I was like, that's pretty good. So, but yeah, it just kind of snowballed all through there, and then we had gotten like, I was you can probably tell from my 4 on the floor. Like I'm a big fan of JHS. Like I just like their pedals, their business, and a lot of Josh's early videos were like really helpful in understanding different circuit types and components. And like when you're trying to teach yourself, you're like, oh, that's a resource. So I had sent him one of the Gus drives just as a thank you, being like, it's somewhere in that room. I don't know where it'll be, but like whatever. I sent it to him. Yeah. And he ended up featuring it last January. And I was like, oh my God, that's awesome. And like we started getting orders from there, and he's like, if you got any more stuff, send me stuff. So, and I've sent him stuff, and now like they've featured a bunch of it. They've been super helpful to us. He actually reached out and helped us get some guitars to start a guitar club at our school.
Oh, that's amazing.
With the Songbirds Museum out of Chattanooga. They have a Guitar for Kids program. And so we got like a bunch of, so now today after school, I had a bunch of kids for a guitar club, and we just all played. They wanted to learn how to play Smells Like Teen Spirit. So it was great. I was like, kid was like, I heard this song on TikTok. Do you know how to play this? I'm like, yes, I do, friend. Yes, I do.
Yeah, isn't that weird when like my daughters and dad like, Dad, the thing was on Stranger Things. It was so cool. I'm like, I sit back. Let me tell you how when I encountered that back in the blah blah blah, and I was skating with skin knees and a teeth grit. Well,
it's hilarious. Like we have, I mean, the kids are awesome. We like do that whole thing. I could go off on a whole hour about our guitar club, and some of the kids are like, I'm like, hey man, like, what do you love? He's like, I listen to a lot of thrash metal, and I was like, well, what do you like? He's like, Slayer. So I started playing like Raining Blood.
Oh yeah.
This kid's face lit up, and he's like, yes.
Yeah.
That's rad.
Great.
Oh, that's cool.
It's so cool.
So can we talk a little bit about the pedal that we've had a chance to play around with a little bit? That would be the Science Fair.
Yes, that is our best seller right now.
And give us the brief introduction to the Science Fair.
All right, so the Science Fair is basically 2 pedals in one. It's a tube screamer style circuit that we call the test tube screamer, and a rat style circuit that we call the lab rat. So together they make the Science Fair. But they're put together. Yeah, they're put together in parallel instead of series. So instead of running one into the other or vice versa, like you could do with any tube screamer or rat, there's a blend knob. So each pedal has its own drive. Each one has its own tone knob. There's one master volume and the blend, so you can decide how much of either one you want. So if you went 100% left or right, you could get, a rat style or a tube screamer style, but you also have 1,000 different variations in between as you blend the 2 circuits together.
Yeah, that's when I was playing with it. I mean, I found that blend knob to be extremely useful.
Love a blend knob.
Yeah,
it's super fun. Just because you can totally, if you're playing, like I said, playing different guitars, different amps, different, when you're recording, if you're just like, I just need this to sound a little different, like, boop, there it is. I just needed that little change,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, idea came from a friend, Matt Dunn, who writes for Guitars for Idiots, and he does some writing for ultimateguitar.com.
Mm-hmm.
Him and I were talking, and we were talking about like parallel distortions and stuff, because that's what nerds do. And he had brought up, like, what if you ran like a tube screamer and a blues breaker in parallel? And then I was like, well, they're kind of similar soft clipping circuits. Like, the only real difference is like the mid hump of a tube screamer.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, well, what if we went to like a hard clipping pedal, like a Rat, and we got way different? And he was like, he's like, could you do that? I'm like, sure, probably. And then it just kind of went from there and started like breadboarding and trying different stuff, and had to, it took some changes along the way to make it all work right. But it definitely was received pretty well. And again, bringing it back with our friends at JHS, they put it as one of their top 10 of last year.
That's awesome, man.
It was great. And like, I think at the time I only had maybe like I don't know, 5 or so like in stock, like built on the shelf. And then I see like they post like, oh, tomorrow we're releasing the top 10. I'm like, oh, that's my pedal in the picture. And like,
that must have felt so awesome.
It was awesome. I'm like, I guess I should build a few more. So I tried to like make what I could, and then it aired at like noon, and I watched it. And I was like, this is so cool. It's very weird feeling, but it's so cool and so nice. And like, I feel amazing, and I'm appreciative that they did all this. And then my phone it was like the day before Christmas Eve. So like, we're having dinner with family, and my phone just keeps buzzing with orders. And I'm like, oh, we're going to be building for a while. Like this, we had to like go on to back order. And I was just like, this is going to be a lot. So, and it was, like I said, super nice and helpful, but it was definitely like, you want to know how to scale a company? Like, you just got hit with a ton of orders. You better learn to scale like yesterday.
That's crazy. Super cool.
Yeah.
So what else do you have in the works that you can talk about?
Yes, because we know that people are going to be visiting the actual site. By the way, can you tell them where to go?
Oh, good idea.
Oh, you go to summerschoolelectronics.com. That's our main site. I also have them on Reverb as well. Those are the 2 main spots. And then we're in about 10 stores right now. I think most in the Northeast, and then one in California, one in Tennessee, Virginia, and most are in New York, and like we're out in shop in Boston. We have all on our dealer site. We have everything listed right there. If any dealers are listening, shoot me an email. We're always looking.
Shoot
for
it
more
out
dealers.
to Jose, Johnny Morales out at Oakland Guitars.
Okay. That'd be great.
Yeah.
Mountain Music is in Oakland. That's where they're one of our people out there right now. We met them at NAMM. They're super cool. So, so we went to NAMM this year as our first time, and we brought some previews of some pedals that are coming out later this year. One of the ones that's coming out, I don't know when this podcast is coming out, but I can
next week.
Next week.
All
right.
Which would be this week when you're listening, or who knows when you're listening.
That's right.
Man.
It would have already been out.
Well, scheduled for early July, there is a new fuzz pedal coming out.
Okay.
Called the Pep Rally. It's going to be loud and proud. It is a very fun, very loud fuzz pedal that can do your classic Hendrixy kind of stuff. But if you dime that fuzz knob, it gets into real like sonic annihilation, like crazy noise stuff. So you can do a lot with that one.
Awesome.
We have another one.
Sticking with the school theme. I get it.
Yeah, that's where we're rolling now. Everything's going with that theme.
Yeah.
We have another one slated for end of summer and one slated for Black Friday. But I don't want to lock into anything permanent just yet, because we're learning that we have to start doing press releases and stuff. So we got to tie it all in together, Nice. We're learning how to be grown-ups at this whole thing.
Yeah.
I'll say that there is a fuzz coming out in early summer that we're
good.
Working on.
We'll keep our eyes open,
and definitely keep in touch with us too as you're releasing things.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Give you some air cover, my man.
Yes.
I appreciate it. Yeah. It's definitely been a lot of growing within the year, and like I've teachers that I work with that'll just come in my room and be like, I got a name for a pedal. You should call it the principal's office. And I'm like, well, what is it? And they're like, I don't know. You figure that out.
Yeah.
So yeah, we have to. It's a whole. I have a whole list of like pedal ideas, and then a whole list of puns. And we have to try to match them all up to be like, what would this be?
Yeah. That's really cool. Super cool.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, man.
And I love a good theme, and I love when you can, grow it. It's having something that is unique and ownable is really kind of this is gonna sound corny, but it is a joy.
Yeah.
It's one thing to do something when you go like, wait, yeah, but I just made this mine.
Yeah, and it's one of those weird things. Like we started, it was literally like, it'd be cool to make a pedal called the Trash Panda and have it be like a weird fuzz or like fuzz overdrive. So like we did that, and now we're getting to like, oh wait, if we're doing school, you can do so many school puns. Because like I put out the snow day delay, which is like 2 delay pedals in one.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, that ties in. Like, we have snow days, and that's like our thing here. And then, you get into the science fair. It's like, oh, there's school in here. All right, we're going down this school road with everything going forward. So it's like, we might have to do some rebranding. Things might get discontinued or re-released under different stuff. So we're figuring out what to do with the ones that don't totally fit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But we're doing that. And then like the 2 dog pedals, like Gus and Gladys have just kind of become like our mascots at this point. So we're like, they're sticking around.
Yeah, there you go.
And we've had people reach out to do like custom stuff where they're like, I like the Gladys pedal, but I don't know Gladys. Like I like my dog. So we have a whole custom order form on our site where you can pick your case color, send us a photo of your pet. You pick the knobs, the LED, like everything.
The mascot. It's the mascot.
Yeah, and we'll swap it out, and so you can get like your dog or cat, or we've done a bird, we've done a bunny. Haven't done any reptiles yet. But you can pick any of our circuits and just get your pet on the circuit.
I like it.
So.
I like it. Teacher's pet. Oh!
I mean, there's been talk of a possible 2-in-1 coming out in the future that would be that. That is one of the ideas I've been playing with.
I like it. Well, whatever you do, we know it's going to be fun, and we know it's going to sound good, man.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it, man.
You bet. Speaking of Mr. No Fun, Mr. Fun. Sorry, that was a slip. Speaking of Mr.
Freudian
Fun,
slip.
we're going to check in with Tony. I can hear the El Camino starting up. Yep, we're gonna swing past Jared as he throws us a cold one out from the patio from the deck he's building.
The deck boards are going on,
and leave him in the dust.
Yes. That's right, Todd, because at this point of the show, it's a little game that we play called Would You Rather?
That's better. Yeah. All right. Okay, Tony. That's enough.
This week's Would You Rather, our friend, the Stoner Genie.
The Stoner Genie.
The Stoner Genie is visiting. And you know why? Because the Stoner Genie specializes in smashed guitars.
Okay.
Because he keeps, tripping over them and stuff.
Okay.
And they fall.
He's not aggressive. He's just clumsy.
No, man. It's like nothing. It's just like the way it is.
Okay.
So
he works at your shop.
Yeah, he loves the lacquer. So you're walking down the street,
yeah,
and you run into the Stoner Genie.
Okay,
he says, "Dude,
yeah,
you'll never guess what I've got here, man."
What?
I've got 3 smashed guitars that can be yours.
Like 3 wishes.
Like 3 wishes, but you only get to pick one, man.
Okay.
And, the other ones I'm keeping.
Okay.
And so, but they're
so it's
smashed.
like a would you rather.
Yeah. They're smashed. You get it, man?
Yeah, I got it.
It's no pun intended, man.
Yeah, sure.
So, what the Stoner Genie tells you, here are your 3 choices. Now, you may or may not have heard this, but Mr. Kurt Cobain's smashed 1990 Made in Japan Strat recently sold for
Oh, God.
$600,000, 10 times as much as they projected that it would sell for.
It's totally what Kurt would have wanted.
Yeah, I'm sure he's all about the money. But this is a guitar that Kurt smashed, and he signed and did some, all the band members. It was literally smashed. Somebody put it back together, and it's virtually unplayable as it stands now.
Okay.
But somebody said, hey, what's $500,000 or so between friends? That's choice number one.
Yes.
The second one is the Jimi Hendrix 1965 Strat that he set on fire.
You're doing all strats, aren't you?
No.
You are. I can see your face.
The next one is for you, Todd. He set this one on fire at the Monterey Pop Festival. It's not technically smashed, but it's pretty well destroyed.
Well damaged.
That one sold probably 10 years ago for about $500,000.
Okay.
And the third one is Noel Gallagher's 1960 ES-355 that his brother Liam smashed in an argument, and that led to the breakup of Oasis as we know them.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, among other things.
Among other
that
things.
was the tip of the iceberg.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, that one sold probably in the last 10 years for about $400,000.
Yeah.
So, dude, which one are you going to pick, man?
That's not hard.
Well, I know, but
Okay.
some of these other ones are pretty
Some of these
tasty.
other ones might be
I mean,
hard.
John Esterly, he'd be all over that smashed Kurt Cobain
Sure.
Strat. There were a couple of others that I looked up that I would have preferred. But should I go first, Todd?
Yes, please go first.
I'm going to surprise you because I'm going to go with the Noel Gallagher 1960 ES-355.
Yeah.
You want to know why?
Why?
Because it led to the breakup of Oasis.
You bastard. That's so rotten. That's the whole reason you put it in. You cruel.
Is it Would You Rather? If it's like, I want this. Is that still Would You Rather?
Yeah,
I guess so.
It is. It is with the stoner genie. He didn't read the rules.
Yeah,
All
well,
right.
he's
Rules,
Fast
man.
and loose.
We don't need no
rules are
stinking
for
rules.
fools, man. How about you, Mark? What you gonna do?
I'm gonna go with the Cobain one. I think.
Ah,
Yeah, I feel like that band is a very special band to me. So I would take that one.
okay.
All right.
And Todd, you're not allowed to answer the question because we already know your answer.
No, I'm gonna go with the Cobain one too.
Are you serious?
And then I'm gonna burn it.
Oh, you're an evil, evil man. Is that your final answer?
That is my final answer.
No, there
Yes,
you go.
because I know that Knowles is in your hand.
Yes.
Yes.
What
And
have I
then someday I'll get it.
burned? No. Yes. Have you been reading the will
I'm
again?
in your will.
Yeah.
Anyways, well, that was fun. That was a fun one, Tony. And I'm glad we got to meet the long lost brother of the genie that has been plaguing us, the stoner genie.
The stoner
who I'm
genie.
sure will make a repeat appearance in the future.
I think so.
There's probably a few other brothers out there.
I think there might be.
All right. We need to say thank you to some very, very special people, and then we're going to let our very good friend Mark Turley get out of here.
Get out of here.
All right.
So, Todd, at this point of the show, there's a special group of people we love to thank. These are our executive producers. Now, you might be wondering, what's this executive producer of which Tony speaks? Well, an executive producer makes the show possible. How does one become one of these executive producers of which Tony speaks?
How does one become the executive producer
Of which I speak.
of which you speak?
Head over to patreon.com/The Guitar Knobs and check out a couple different levels in which you can participate, become a sponsor, a patron of this very podcast. Each level comes with some very, and I do mean very nice thank you gifts. But as an executive producer, there's one thing more. Jared?
You get to have your name right on the thing.
Oh, I didn't think Jared was going to be on today.
No, I am, little buddy.
So special thanks to these executive producers: Moon Guitars, Vader and Pedals, John Halverson, Rick Calhoun, Trevor Gunberg, Elad Mizrahi, Micah D, Richard Kendall, Mark Garten, Matt Hart, James White, Justin Jones, Anthony Gemalero, Bill Gola Guitars, John Esterly, Anthony Lathrop, Stefan Lamb, Michael Senchuk, Ken Sayers, Doug Christ, Darren Gregory, Tom Breslin, Rusty Sneeden, Ralph Gottschalk, Don Kloss, Gregory Randall, Brett Hogarth, Eric Hemmer, Stuart George, Michael Furman, James Bell, James Romer, Cameron Pappas, and David Tyndall.
Thank you.
Thank you, but
So
wait,
much
Todd, there's more, because there's a special group of executive producers we call our Grand Poobahs. These fine folks get a fez to wear upon their head whilst listening to the podcast. And
Perfect.
at the same time. So special thanks to these Grand Poobahs: Tommy Manasco, Ricardo Igareda, David Kaminga, Brandon Wound Pickups, Hex Matos, Michio Murakishi, Bob Crouch, Jack Cadian, Sam Jett, Tyler Rhines, LSJ Music Company, John Williams, James Pennington, Adam Johnson, Steve Keys, Cody Foster, Science of Sound, Brian Robison, Jonathan Jerusik, Corey Nigro, Michael Van Zant, Tim Nowak, Jonathan Daly, Martin Cliff, Sean S. David Poe, Billy Spitfire Unlimited, Congregation Gear Demos, Paul Van Eppinger, Scott Sullivan, and Great Lakes Guitar Pickups. Thank y'all. Thank y'all.
Indeed. Truly, the rock solid foundation supporting us has been, that's them. And
we love them.
We couldn't appreciate it more. And if you are interested, we would greatly appreciate you as well. So without further ado, Mr. Mark Turley, where can people find you and buy your nice things and all that stuff?
The best source is summerschoolelectronics.com. Also, I regularly check our Instagram and Facebook under the same name, Summer School Electronics. And they're available on Reverb and at a couple of our dealers. So that's the spot.
Excellent.
Nice.
And on top of getting a really cool product, you're helping a teacher out. And that is important because we would be nowhere without our teachers.
And we appreciate it.
You are welcome. Tony.
For all your pickguard needs, go over to pickguardian.com. Check out some of the things that I offer online. But by and large, what I do is custom work. So shoot me an email and let me know what you're trying to do.
Custom just means you get the thing that you want the way you want it.
You get it the way you want it.
The way you never even thought you could probably even have it.
And I will take excellent care of you.
All right. You can drop me a line in the emails, todd@theguitarknobs.com, or DM me on Instagram @guitarknobs. Love to hear from you. Please share your thoughts. And hey, send us a would you rather. We got all these genies running around. Who knows how many this family of genies has spawned?
I believe so.
Yes. We would. You know what? Let's make that the challenge. We want to hear from your favorite genie.
Oh,
I like that. I like it a lot. Ladies and gentlemen, we want to say thank you to Mark Turley of Summer School Electronics for gracing us with his time and sharing his stories and making some really cool stuff. Thank you so much, Mark.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
You bet. Hey, everybody. Have a fantastic guitar week out there. And subscribe! Yeah. And tell all your friends to listen to the show. Back surprised.
Oh my God! People never ask me this. It's great. Yeah,
Do that.
basically.
You should do that. Yes. Take a minute and meet Tony. Hang on.
I think it was close. There was the place called the Tree Bar.
Oh, the
Oh,
tree
yeah.
bar is great.
Yeah.
It's a dump, but it's awesome.
Oh yeah.
Is it still open?
That's all I needed. That's what I came here for.
Yeah. Yes.
Slight praise and dog talk. That's what I want.
Yeah. What more can you ask for?
When we first started saying, hey, just, we don't curse. And then, so then he just kind of like old school. He just says all the words.
Yeah.
And some of them are like, actually, it's like, Jared, that's like super. Wow, you really went for it right there.
We can't say that.
He really would lean into certain things, and you're like,
Yeah.
wow, you are enjoying this, aren't you?
Yeah.
So we are not even. This is not normal. This is not how it typically goes. Maybe I should do that over because this is awkward now. Yeah, don't say that.
Yeah. I'm getting that out of the way now before that little red recording light comes on.
Sure. Oops. All right, Tony, tighten up your jockstrap.
It's okay, I did it, Todd.
And away we go.
Well, that's it for these knobs. Please visit our Patreon page at patreon.com/theguitarknobs. Visit our website at theguitarknobs.com for all of our past episodes, 4 on the Floor blog, and other good stuff. You can connect with us on social too at our Facebook page and share your gear and stories on our Facebook group. Also, be sure to check out our Instagram at Guitar Knobs. Catch you next time.